Hi, Mr. Soohoo.
This is our unit 4 video with Nija, Lawyoe,
and Andrea Rodriguez.
Okay, so the problem that we are presented with is to expand using the double distribute method. The equation that we have is 3x plus 2y to the third power. You write that out 3 times and you distribute the last 2 first. Once you simplify it out, you bring down the other one and then you distribute again. You triple distribute.
And once you triple distribute, you're gonna get a trinomial. Once you get the trinomial, you add to both sides, and after you simplify, you get this equation. Okay, this is expand using Pascal triangle in binomial expansion, and the equation is 3x plus 2y to the third power. And basically, once we use the Pascal triangle, a Pascal triangle is a triangular arrow of the binomial coefficients.
Okay, so since we're using Pascal's triangle, the degree right here represents which line to use in Pascal's triangle, which is the third one. You space this out and write out the equation and bring it down. When it's the x, you go count down from 3, 2, 1, 0 for the degrees, and then when you do the y, you go 0, 1, 2, 3, and then you simplify, and then you get the answer. Okay, so the next problem that we're going to do is we're going to have to factor out an equation completely. First, okay, this is our equation that we have presented with 5x to the third minus 20x to the second power minus 45x plus 180. You're going to have to take out a common variable from that, and the common variable will be 5. You bring the rest down when you divide everything, and then you put brackets around it when you separate it, because you take something out of these two equations or expressions. And then you connect these two, and you bring the rest down.
And once you bring the rest down, you will use dots, which is the difference of 2 squares. And once you use that, you get your equation.
And the reason why we use difference of 2 squares is because it's factored out completely. And once you do it, you see that negative 3 times 3 will become negative 9. And then x and x will be x2. So it would be the exact same thing. Go.
Okay, so in this equation, we're going to find all row solutions using synthetic division, giving one possible solution. So synthetic division is a method of performing polynomial long division with less writing and fewer calculations. So it's basically easier than solving the long way. So here we have our expression, and right here in green, we're going to use synthetic division. So 8 times 1 is 8, 8 times 0 is 0, 8 times 4 is negative 32, basically. And once we get that, we have our polynomial right here.
And we use something called the happy face method, is where we make this 2 expressions. So we use the happy face method right here, where negative 2x, you bring that down, it'll become negative 2x, and then x and positive 2 will become 2x, and it'll all equal 0. And then you make these set to 0 to find the all real solutions. So the negative 2 becomes this positive 2 becomes a negative 2, this negative 2 becomes a positive 2, and this negative 8 becomes a positive 8. And then those are your all real solutions.
There you go. Okay, so basically this is an equation, and we just plugged it into decimals, and we got the exact same real solutions, which is negative 2, positive 2, and 8.
So our last problem is when plotting a roller coaster's path on a graph is show the x-intercepts. And the x-intercepts that were shown were 0, negative 4, and positive 4. Well, first we need to write a polynomial equation in factored form. We do this by getting the x-intercepts and making them equal 0, which will have negative 4 and turn positive, and positive 4 and turn negative, and we just leave out the 0 because it's nothing. Then you write it in factored form, which is this. Next we need to write it in standard form. With it still in factored form, you distribute the last 2 and cross out negative 4 and 4 because they cancel each other out, and distribute again one more time, and you get standard form, polynomial. In order to classify the polynomial, you look at the greatest degree, which is 3, which makes it cubic, and then you see how many terms there are, which are 2, so it becomes a binomial. To identify the degree and leading coefficient, the degree is 3 because that is an odd number, and the leading coefficient is positive because there's not a negative sign in front of here. And if we plotted this on a graph, as the x approaches x negative infinity, then the y would become negative infinity, and as the x approaches positive infinity, then the y will also be positive infinity, and it would look a little bit like this, because it'd be, when it's going left, it would be negative, and when it's going down, it would also be a negative infinity, which means it'll be going down forever, and which means it'll be going left forever. And the same thing for the right, it'll be a positive infinity, and for going up, it'll be a positive infinity also. Now, the x-intercepts will be the same as the ones that were given to us right here. You just put them in coordinate form, and then at most there will be 2 turning points.
Okay, so for this unit, I guess I kind of struggled in the beginning because like I was kind of confused on synthetic division, but Mr. Soohoo, like you gave me a lot of like practice, and I like began to learn it, and plus my tutor helped me. And basically, like what I can do in future units is just really focus and practice it over and over and over again. That's how I get it.
Yes, actually for me this unit was pretty easy and self-explanatory. Yeah, same thing, the only problem I had was synthetic division, but then Mr. Who, you explained it to me and it all made perfect sense, and I just hope I got an A on that test.